All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are breaking down the absolute madness, the shifting hierarchy, and just the sheer unpredictability of the 2026 World Cup. If you've been watching the matches lately, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We are witnessing a monumental changing of the guard in international football right before our eyes. The traditional giants of the game are stumbling, and these incredible new powers are stepping right up to take their place. Today, we're going to use the data, the tactical setups, and the live reactions from the ground to understand exactly how and why this is all happening. I mean, just listen to what fans are saying online right now. Absolute cinema. Do not sleep on the small teams. This perfectly captures the pure shock value of what we all just witnessed. Paraguay, a team that really hasn't made serious waves on the global stage since, 2010, has officially knocked out the mighty Germany in the round of 32. It was one of those moments that had people literally screaming at their screens. Fans were calling it a completely unbelievable script.
Section 1. The biggest shock of 2026. Germany's early exit.
For a nation with Germany's unbelievable footballing pedigree, bowing out to Paraguay is an absolute disaster. But, when you actually look closely at how they played, this wasn't just a fluke, it was a complete systemic failure. They were underprepared, they lacked a clear identity, and honestly, they played right into the hands of a really resilient South American side. To truly grasp how catastrophic this is for Germany, we just need to think about the number one. Prior to today's match, in the entire history of the World Cup, do you know how many times a German player had missed a penalty in a shootout since 1982? Exactly one time. Uli Stielicke in the 1982 semifinal against France. That is decades of absolute, ice-cold dominance from the penalty spot. They are famously the team you never want to face in a shootout, right? Because their mentality is usually bulletproof. Well, contrast that with today. 3. Germany missed a shocking 3 penalties in this shootout alone. Havertz, Waldemar Anton, and Jonathan Tah. All of them failed to convert. That single number tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the current state of the German national team. That legendary mentality, that unbreakable focus that basically defined German football for half a century, it's just gone. So how did they even look so broken by the time they reached penalties? Honestly, it was a tactical nightmare over the full 120 minutes. First off, their passing patterns were just incredibly predictable. They were constantly forcing the ball centrally with zero imagination. And then when that inevitably didn't work, they resorted to an over-reliance on these easily defended, looping crosses into the box that Paraguay just dealt with all day long. Plus, there's this glaring lack of exciting youth integration. They are really missing that spark from a new generation of players. And finally, squad harmony under Julian Nagelsmann seems completely broken right now. Despite his brilliant club record, he just hasn't been able to forge a unified fighting identity on the international stage.
There was a piece of analysis after the match that summed it up perfectly. Doing the same thing again and expecting different results is madness. Germany just kept trying the exact same central attacks, the exact same uninspired switches of play, and kind of just hoped Paraguay would eventually make a mistake. But they didn't adapt. They were entirely too rigid, and as we all know, in knockout football, rigidity gets you sent home.
Section 2. Morocco, the new heavyweights.
So, as one giant falls, another rises. And let's be clear, calling Morocco an underdog is officially outdated at this point. They are a modern heavyweight, for sure. The way they're playing, the way they dictate games, they are now the team to beat. But, this didn't just happen overnight. The secret engine behind this incredible success is the Mohammed VI Academy. Think of this as Morocco's version of Clairefontaine in France. They realized years ago that to compete globally, they needed world-class grassroots infrastructure. So they started scouting kids early, bringing them into this elite center and aligning their development perfectly with the national federation. They essentially built a 10-year blueprint for success, and what we're seeing right now in 2026 is the incredible return on that long-term investment.
And the sheer talent this system has produced, along with their smart integration of dual nationals, is just staggering. You have Achraf Hakimi, arguably the best right back in the world. On the other flank, Nusar Mazraoui is providing elite stability. Then you've got Ismail Saibari, this red-hot engine in the midfield, who has been absolutely unplayable lately. Add in the emerging defensive and creative core of guys like Bilal Okanous and Chadi Riyad, and you have a team that doesn't just sit back and hope for the best. They play aggressive front-foot football simply because they have the world-class personnel to actually execute it.
Section 3. The Dutch Tactical Dilemma.
Which brings us perfectly to the live matchup we are tracking today, and it is presenting a massive tactical dilemma for the Dutch. You've got this incredibly powerful, confident Moroccan side stepping onto the pitch, and you really have to ask, how did Ronald Koeman decide to set up his historic European powerhouse against them? Well, it's a fascinating contrast. You have Morocco playing with this aggressive, front-foot midfield press, totally taking the game to the opposition, and the Netherlands, they are playing a highly conservative five-man defense, sitting incredibly deep. It is actually staggering to watch. The Netherlands, the nation literally famous for total football, is out there playing out of fear. They've sacrificed their midfield creativity to pack the defense, and they're just allowing Morocco to completely dictate the tempo of the game.
And the fatal flaw in Koeman's conservative formation is painfully obvious. Cody Gakpo and Brian Brobby are completely isolated. Because the Netherlands are sitting so deep with that five-man backline, there was a massive gaping hole between their midfield and their forwards. Zero services reaching them. Gakpo is practically invisible out there because the buildup is so slow that Morocco's defense has all the time in the world to settle into their shape before the Dutch even cross the halfway line.
So, you might be wondering, where is the midfield connection? Well, it's failing mainly because of a major positional error. Frankie de Jong, arguably the most talented ball carrier the Dutch have, is dropping way too deep. He's practically acting as a sweeper in front of the center backs rather than pushing up to connect the midfield to the attack. Instead of taking risks and driving the ball forward, he's just shielding the defense. It makes the Dutch attacks painfully slow, entirely predictable, and incredibly easy for Morocco to just snuff out.
Section 4. First half verdict.
All right, so we've talked about the tactics, but how are these contrasting approaches actually reflecting in the match data? Has Koeman's conservative gamble kept the Dutch safe? Well, the real story is hidden in the numbers. If you just glance at possession, it looks totally even, 50% to 50%. But possession without penetration means absolutely nothing. Check out the big chances. Morocco has 2. The Netherlands have a big fat 0. Morocco has double the shots on target. The Dutch are just knocking the ball around in safe, non-threatening areas, while Morocco is actively creating lethal goal-scoring threats every single time they move forward.
Honestly, if we're being brutally honest here, Bart Verbruggen's heroics are literally the only thing keeping the Netherlands in this game. The Dutch goalkeepers had to make 2 absolutely massive saves already. One against a stunning effort from Unai, and another point-blank stop against Hakimi. Without Verbruggen playing completely out of his mind right now, this conservative Dutch gamble would have already resulted in a multi-goal deficit. So, that leaves us with a final, burning question as we head into the second half. Is Ronald Koeman going to change these conservative tactics, or will the Dutch follow Germany right out the door? He has to make a choice here. Does he drop a defender, push Frankie de Jong up, and actually try to win a football match? Or does he stay paralyzed by the fear of Morocco's attacking power? We've already seen one European giant fall today simply because they refused to adapt. We're about to find out if the Netherlands are going to be the very next victims of this incredible new world order in international football. Stick around, it's going to be a wild finish.